Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the May 21st special meeting of the Tuckahoe Village Board of Trustees. Will everyone please rise and join me in the pledge of the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the village clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Luisi.
Present.
Trustee Alfasi.
Present.
Mayor Eklund.
I am here tonight. Apologies from our Deputy Mayor, Tom Giordano, who is actually stuck in a train right now. He was actually upset. He really wanted to be here tonight for this very important meeting. So, but MTA had different options for him this evening. We're having a special meeting tonight. Everyone is probably wondering why. But as everybody knows by now, last month, Trustee Steve Quigley passed away very suddenly and very unexpectedly. Village law requires that when there is a trustee vacancy, for whatever the reason is, it's the responsibility of the mayor to appoint someone to fill that vacancy for the remainder of the vacant term. Steve's current trustee term expires on March 31st of next year. I considered a few different people who had reached out to me in the past when I had this responsibility and when I then appointed Trustee Jeanette Hayes, but this time I asked and discussed this with only one person. I've asked our planning board chairperson, Antonio Leo, if he would consider completing the remainder of Steve's term. Antonio and his family have been neighbors and good friends of the Quigleys for many years, raising their children on the same street up in the Gifford Park area of our village. Antonio has served on our planning board for over 7 years, and he's been chairperson of the board since 2013. He was the chairman of the Master Plan Committee back in 2007. He's married to his beautiful wife, Gabriella, for 26 years, and they have 2 college-age children, Stephen and Melissa. Antonio was born in Italy and immigrated to New York City when he was 8 years old. He grew up in the Bronx, and he's lived in Tuckahoe since 2000. Antonio received his BA in architecture at New York Institute of Technology, I believe, right? In 1987, and he's been a licensed architect since 1992. He currently owns and operates his own commercial and retail architecture firm, Antonio Leo Architects, since 2004. I feel this is a very wise choice from a couple of different viewpoints. First, and something that I've always believed is important, is that Antonio lives on the same street and the same neighborhood as Steve Quigley did. Even though Tuckahoe is a pretty small community, I've always felt in selecting members of either the village board or the planning or zoning board that there's representation from people who live in every little pocket of our tiny little village. I think there's nothing more important than talking to your neighbor over a cup of coffee or a barbecue and hearing face to face what the issues are in that particular neighborhood. And if we all lived in the same block, I don't necessarily know whether we would really understand what's going on the other end of town, even though it's a small village. But I've always felt that that's important. The next reason is because even though I know he's an independent thinker and a very strong leader, I have to believe that with his friendship to Steve Quigley, Antonio is best suited out of all of us to let us know probably what Steve would have felt about an issue that we're dealing with. So I'm hoping he's going to maybe give us a little guidance along those lines too. And I think most importantly is I also feel that with the current and future demands on our village's growth and development, Antonio's background in chairing both the Master Plan Committee and the village's planning board will be a huge assistance for all of us as we examine where the village is and where we should be going from a smart development standpoint. So for those reasons, I think he is an excellent choice. And it is with great pleasure that I appoint Antonio Leo, village trustee, to fill the unexpired term of Stephen Quigley to April 1st, 2016. And now I'm going to ask Judge Fuller if you would please come up and swear in his neighbor, Antonio Leo. A microphone? A microphone? Mic. Oh, hold on 1 second.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of trustee
the office of trustee
of the Village of
of
Tuckahoe
the Village of Tuckahoe
and will,
and will,
to the best of my
to
ability,
the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United
the
States
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York.
and the Constitution of the State of New York.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Come on up and have a seat here. Yep.
Can you get through?
Welcome aboard, and thank you. You want to slide that in there? Come on, you know how to do that. We'll get you a new one, I promise. One that fits better and matches all of us, so. Thank you very much, Antonio, and actually going to ask for a few comments. We're going to start with Antonio Leo.
First of all, I'd like to thank the mayor and the trustees for this opportunity. I mean, I really appreciate it. And I know I also have very large shoes to fill with, Steve quickly played a big role on the board here. So I hope I hope I'm able to fill those shoes. So again, I really appreciate the opportunity, and I look forward to working with everyone here.
We know you're going to do great. We really do. So thank you for taking this appointment. Greg, did you want to say anything?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Fortunately for everyone, I have nothing prepared, which is just as well, because as it turns out, Antonio, we were meant to be together. As I've come to find out tonight, I've made the connection, or Steve actually made the connection. Hey, I went to school with your son, Paul, so that was number one. Nice meeting everyone else in your family. And number two, I'm really happy to hear that you're from the Bronx. So hopefully we won't have to debate too much about which is the best pizza from the Bronx, but we'll save that for another day. But seriously, your reputation precedes you. I've watched you for many years on the planning board, and I'm very excited to have you on this board. So best of luck and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to echo Trustee Luisi's sentiment. I am also from the Bronx. So, yes, so we outnumber them. But it's Louis and Ernie's on Crosby Avenue.
I used to work for his brother.
Right? Am I right? See, we agree already. But anyway, you said about filling Steve's shoes. My suggestion to you would be don't try. Be your own man, as I know you're going to be. You're not new to this dais. You know how the mics work. So welcome. I'm looking forward to many years with you being on this board.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody from the audience? Yes, ma'am.
Hi there. Good evening, Mayor, trustees, new trustee Leo, former colleague of mine. I was on the planning board several years before Mayor Fitzpatrick appointed you, and you were green at the time, but you grew into the shoes that you needed to grow into in that board. And you're probably a little green on this board, but I'm sure you'll grow into the shoes here. So congratulations, good luck, do a good job for all of us. And the Bronx is not that great a borough. It's really not. It's really Brooklyn. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow. Yes, that's for sure. Okay, we just have a little bit of business to do tonight. We have a couple of resolutions, and the first is Resolution Number 1, which is authorizing the village mayor and administrator to authorize a general liability contract that will be reviewed by the village administrator for the period of June 1st, 2015 through May 31st, 2016. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Trustee Luisi.
In favor?
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Trustee Leo.
Abstain?
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. Resolution number 2 is authorizing payment number 4 in the amount of $112,709.89 to Landy Contracting, Inc. for the additional work per unit pricing on contract Columbus Avenue overhead utility relocation and streetscape restoration project. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second, may I make a
Get some
comment?
discussion, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, plenty of discussion, actually.
Defer to you.
We actually have had, I called a meeting about a week ago with all the contractors on this project for a couple of purposes. I wanted to talk to Landy about the additional work that we actually had him do for this sidewalk restoration project. But I also wanted the contractor there to have an opportunity to talk to myself, our village administrator, our building inspector, chief of police, or DPW. We wanted them to have full opportunity to say, hey, you know what, you're holding us back or you're not holding us back. And I'm happy to say that they were, I was surprised, I'm in the construction business, they were like, everything is going well, all our inspections are timely and everything is working well. The only issue that we have is we need to get our contractor, which is Landy Contracting, out there to finish the work, which is the village's responsibility to put the sidewalks in front of that project. And that was an agreement that was made when this developer actually gave us close to $400,000. So it was a trade-off. We were going to bury the lines in front of his building, but we'll put sidewalks in. So the $112,000, this is a change order that was reviewed by Mr. DeMarco, and this is for additional work. So I'm not sure if that was what your question was.
Well, my question was going to be along those lines in the sense where I just hope that Landy, and I don't mean to pass any disparaging remarks on our contractors, but are they bleeding the village dry with this construction, or is this something that was anticipated? Where did this come from? I guess is the question.
I can't say this was anticipated. When the contract first went out by our architects, this is something that was originally in a Con Ed bid or spec they were going to do. Once that was removed from Con Ed's responsibility and given to Landy, it was realized that there's a lot more work that was never in our original bid spec that they had to do. That's why this price is so high. It was originally quoted at around $60,000 for Con Ed to do the work. Once we took it from Con Ed and actually Landy started to do the work, that's why it kind of ballooned to the 112 because of all the additional work and some of the line items were not in the bid spec that was given out originally. I don't believe this is kind of bleeding us dry. I don't think it's an unfair quote. I know that Frank DeMarco had looked over this. Our architects looked over this from JMC, made sure there was fair pricing and for what they did. So.
And one of the things that we made sure of is in Landy's contract with us, he had to put in unit pricing. So when we tell him, hey, you need to extend that scope of work by 10 feet, it's not like we're just hoping he's going to give us a good price for that extra 10 feet. We actually, Frank, that's one of the things that Frank does. He goes to the contract and he says, okay, you have a unit price of $1 per foot. You can put $10 on your change order. You can't just make up a number of $100 or something like that. So, yeah, it's a very complicated project, and as crazy as this sounds, I'm glad that Landy's doing the work, because if you saw the unit pricing that Con Edison applied probably 5 years ago to the scope of work here, you would think that they were building the World Trade Center. It was unbelievable. So, as bad as it is, I'm glad that we're doing it through our contractor,
Fine.
that's for sure.
Thank you.
Trustee Luisi.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Trustee Leo.
Abstain.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. And last but not least is resolution number 3, authorizing the village clerk to issue a parade permit and the donation of $2,000, which we do every year, for the Memorial Day Parade to the Eastchester Veterans Central Parade Committee. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Trustee Luisi.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
This is a vote that I'm certainly glad to take and certainly glad to support, a little bit more so without reluctance than number 2. But anything for the veterans, certainly we'll all be there. We'll all be marching with them. I'll be wearing my VFW cap. So Tuckahoe, please come out, and yes, in favor.
Thank you.
Trustee Leo.
Abstain.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. That's it. If there's no other business tonight, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I have a second for that?
Second.
And till next time, have a very good night, Tuckahoe. Thank you.